Talk of the Town is up and running in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, USA. I'm Scott Montesano, and this is where the Chippewa Valley comes to talk. Hello to everybody out there. We had a hint of a spring, if you will, over the course of the last few days. The smells returning to the area, but we all know there's more snow and cold coming. But one of the cool things that's happened over the last few days is that it very much has cleared off the roads. And you don't have especially the side streets, you don't have the bumpiness and what have you. Still broken ankle season out there if you're going to go for a walk or a jog of any type, because you still get the water melting off of the snow piles, and then it refreezes and all that. So do be careful about if you're going to go for a walk with the dog or a walk with the family, and get out there and enjoy the 40s and the 50s. Broken ankle weather, also the time of the year when the people that own those car washes, I keep thinking of them like a scene out of Goodfellas or whatnot, where they're or the Wolf of Wall Street, they're flinging money onto the bed and rolling around in it. Them and their spouses. They're going to the fanciest eateries of western Wisconsin, slapping down a $100 bill and saying, "Give me the whole right side of the menu." I know $100 is not going to get you the whole menu. I understand that, but you get the idea. Actually got myself a car wash. I got a spot I go to get my car washed that hardly ever has a line, and my car has been getting it washed there for 7-8 years, and the car has yet to fall apart. So clearly the car wash is okay, but it's kind of a hole in the wall. Well, I wouldn't say a hole in the wall spot to get your car washed. It's on a rather busy road, but a lot of people tend not to think of it. I don't want to give it away, but if you think about it, kind of in downtown, on the way to downtown. It's not easy to get to it, though, but you see it a lot. If you know the spot I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. It's a good spot to go and get your car washed. I very strongly recommend it. If you don't want to wait in line, because you go to, like my wife said she was going to go to Quick Trip. You go to Quick Trip to get your car washed. If there's a line of at least 2 cars, it's 20 minutes. Same at other spots like the Marquardt Motors. A lot of those spots that have the trying to think of what you would call it's the one stall, the one bay, and you line up and it's automatic and what have you. I do know some people like Ship Shape and some of those other spots where you go through and what have you. But it is car wash season, and the people that own those car washes, this is most definitely a time where they are making significant revenue. That is for sure. All right. Some various stuff to get to today on Talk of the Town. When we were last with you on Thursday, I was talking about the excitement I had going to see Stomp at the Pablo Center on Thursday night. Enjoyed the show. My wife loved it. Would I want to go back to see Stomp? Probably not. Not entirely my cup of tea. I enjoyed it. I liked the experience. Wouldn't be something I'd go back to, because there's no vocalization at all. It's 90 minutes of percussion. And at one point, I don't want to say it gives you a headache. It doesn't give you a headache at all. And the people that are performing are outstanding. There's a lot of sneaky humor with it. There's a lot of facial twitching. They do a lot of acting with their face, a lot of non-verbal cues to the audience. There's a lot of audience participation with it as well, clapping along and what have you. So it's an energetic show, but it's sort of like having a bowl of like one big bowl of vanilla ice cream, or one big bowl of Rice Krispies, and it's the same texture and the same flavor for 90 minutes. So there's nothing else. Like it's the type of show that probably could have used an intermission because it's the same thing over and over again. So at about an hour mark into it, I started to get a little bit antsy, not uncomfortable, but I'll be honest, a little bored at one point because there's no storyline to it. You don't get up and dance to it. At one point, you start to run out of emotions with it. So that was me. Now, that being said, there are a lot of people that, like, this is their jam. And what was cool about the show is that I could tell, being there, that there were a lot of people that are Stomp diehards. The show's been going on for, 30 years? They are Stomp diehards. So they knew you kind of follow the cue of other audience members. No different than I would think when somebody comes to watch a baseball game or a football game or whatever, and you kind of lean into, what are the diehards doing? Oh, the diehards like this. Oh, this must be good or that. So that's something I picked up on throughout the course of the show. But enjoyed the opportunity to go, enjoyed the performance. Another reminder that this is a Broadway-level show with professional performers. They were on their way to Milwaukee after this. Great show. Loved the atmosphere and all of that, and it's 5 minutes from our house. 5 minutes from our house. And all you're out if you go try these things is, yes, the money for the tickets. You're out a little bit of time, if you will. But there are no guarantees in life. I'm not going to sit here and say everything you go to, whether it's at the Pablo, whether it's at the Heidi, whether it's at the Sonnentag, you're going to love. But I will, with very strong conviction, tell you, you will not regret going to anything. You just will not regret going to see live entertainment. Now, you can draw your own line in the stand. I, for one, I'm just not a music festival guy. I'm not going to go to the music festivals. That's my sort of line in the stand. I know if I go, I probably would enjoy myself, but I'm going to kind of draw the line there. It's just not for me at all. You can look at the schedule at the Pablo or whatever. Maybe for you, you do not want to go see a comedian. You don't like it. You don't like comedians, all that, whatever. That's fine. Maybe you want to go see the orchestra when they perform. Maybe you're more of that jam. Maybe you're more about seeing Stomp. Look at the schedule and enjoy it. All right? Give it a look. And remember, you got to do a little bit of hunting yourself. Hey, we mentioned the Pablo. I don't want to forget about the Heidi Center. Just got done interviewing a guy for an episode that'll drop next month for the Heidi Center's podcast. And we're talking reggae music. The Heidi Center's got this band coming in called Gizeh in April. And the more you learn about these guys, and I interviewed one of them, the stories they've got are great. It's a reggae band. One of the leads is this guy named Brian Rocket Rock. Interviewed him while he's back home in the Caribbean. This band is a reggae band built off of some Chicago sounds as well. But Brian's been doing this since the 80s. Performed with Bruce Springsteen, performed with the Rolling Stones. Was a ball of energy when I was talking with him. And he's coming to the Heidi Center with this band, Gizeh, and reggae music. So do just a little bit of research on your own, and you'd be surprised the type of acts we're getting to our area. And hence the reason I say you will not be disappointed. These people's number one goal in life is to make you have a good time. All right. Was there on Thursday at the Pablo and had a big time feel at the show. And that's the thing that I kind of like about going to the Pablo Center in downtown. There was a big time feel. People were walking in, all ages for Stomp. There were kids there, families. There was couples like us, my wife and I. Big time feel. It felt like there was an energy in downtown, an energy there. This was the place to be. Afterwards, the wife and I, we were having an early Valentine's, went to Mona Lisa's. I'll save the review for Mona Lisa's for an upcoming Hungry Italian. Spoiler alert, it was good. Went to Mona Lisa's on Water Street. We got an 8:45 reservation. And we walked in. The place was practically empty. And we closed the place down. But there was like nobody in there. In fact, when we made the reservation for 8:45, I had my wife call back and say, "Are they okay with that? It says they close at 9." But they wanted it and all that, and we closed it down with another table at Mona Lisa's. But it got me thinking. Here it was 8:45, 9 o'clock in the evening on a Thursday. And as we're walking on Water Street, Dooley's was about to already close down. Dooley's was about to close down. Mona Lisa's had nobody in it. I know this is common for other restaurants in the area too. A lot of them closing down at 9 o'clock or so. And it got me thinking, does our city fall asleep too soon? Does our city fall asleep too soon now? I think it's okay for us to start asking that question. This wasn't something you wondered before 2020. Remember, before 2020, for those who can remember back that far, it used to be commonplace for places to be open 24 hours, for places to be open to 11 or midnight. Now, it's not quite what it once was, even in the restaurant game. It used to be a time there where every restaurant was open until 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because a lot of them had a bar with it and people would hang out at the bar. That already had pulled back for a generation or two, but a lot of your restaurants stayed open till 11 or midnight, and you just don't have that anymore. Now, do businesses close because there's just not enough people? They realize there's not enough people. It was stupid to be doing that 15 years ago, staying open really late. We don't need it. Do people not want to be out, or have we gotten conditioned, which is what I'm thinking? And where is the breaking point? Because during the pandemic and coming out of it, a big issue was you didn't have the work staff. You didn't have the work staff. Also, what never returned after the pandemic was 24 hours and that kind of thing. And I think we can live without the 24 hours. Big deal. I think the Burger King that's over Highway 37, I think that's 24 hours, but everything else is not. But you don't have anything open here 9, 10 o'clock in the evening to go get a bite to eat, to go hang out. Places shut down very, very early. And I know there are some that's not the case, but it is more often than not. And you're becoming conditioned that places are shut down. And remember, if a place says it's going to close at 9, we were lucky at Mona Lisa's. But if a place says it's going to close down at 9, a lot of times the work staff, this is with any industry, they take their foot off the gas pedal by then. And you're not going to get the greatest of service. Who knows what's still available in the kitchen, all that sort of stuff. I know some people in the restaurant industry will fight back on that. Oh, no, we'll give you grade A service whether you come in, whether you're the first customer or the last. That is great on paper. Human nature fights against that. Now, most cities are shutting down, even the big ones. This is not just an Eau Claire thing, but I'm wondering, are we going to sleep as a community too soon? I'm not saying we should be out running around at midnight, but I look at something like the Pablo Center and that evening that my wife and I had. Or if you go out to anything, we're trying to get people to go out and do more things. But if it feels like you're not supposed to be out and about because everything is shut down, it's sort of counteractive to that. There is nothing that can really be done from a legislative standpoint. We're not about to legislate that you must be open late or anything like that. It's a cultural shift that has to happen. But I think we all have to start to wonder that. And on one hand, we keep saying people have got to get out and start doing things again. Get out and experience life. Hey, it's cool to stay at home and watch the smart TV. I've got a 70-inch smart TV, can watch whatever I want, and I like doing that. at times. But there is no replacement for getting out and experiencing life. But when you go out to experience life, if half of it is closed, it feels like it. If half of it's closed, it's not like you're thinking, oh, all right, I'm going to enjoy the half that's open. It's sort of a feeling of, all right, when's the other half going to close? Again, it just hit me last week. We were at Mona Lisa's, and it's one thing that nobody was really there at Mona Lisa's when we were eating. It was the fact of we didn't have many options if we had wanted to pivot off Mona Lisa's. One. Two, the fact that Dooley's was shuttering its doors shortly after 9 made me think. This is not to question the businesses, by the way. I'm sure a lot of them are going, hey, it doesn't make fiscal sense for me to stay open. When are we? I just wonder. I don't think this is sustainable either. Now, some of you old timers may remember it was commonplace in the 40s, 50s, 60s that a lot of places were shuttered at 5 o'clock. A lot of places, the old adage of the 9 to 5, a lot of stores were shut down at 5 o'clock. Then then business people started to realize, hey, people can't shop at my store when they're working. Everybody else is working 9 to 5. I got to stay open later. And their only business they were getting during the day was the stay-at-home adult, typically the wife in the family. And they realized, hey, we got to stay open later. So this is not going to be a total sociology discussion, though. But again, everything shuts down so early. I know they talk about all the time people that go to Blue Gold games or the Chippewa Steel or the Eau Claire Express. You'll hear people say, I went to the game and we wanted to go get a bite to eat afterward, and there's really no options. There's really no options. I mean, heck, my wife and there's sometimes I want to get a late night coffee, and the coffee places are all shuttered at 7, 8 o'clock at night. All right. Of course, speaking, maybe if we were out and about, somebody would have seen this in action over the weekend. Friday night into Saturday morning at some point, the Republican headquarters in Eau Claire, Altoona, over there on Spooner Ave, they were vandalized. There was graffiti on the front. Eggs were thrown at the door. There's lots of cameras in that area. I would suspect they'll get someone relatively soon on this. My question is, why? My question on this is why. And before somebody says, oh, you know why, we got to fight against the Republican ideology. Why? Why? Why on both sides? Because the act itself was awful. The response didn't really do it any favors from what we saw. You had the response, you had the act that occurred, disgusting what was written, the eggs and all of that, and then the Republican local party responded the way you would assume they would respond. Now, in their argument, in their defense, I'd be pretty pissed off too, but again, it's just constant. Everybody just keeps scratching the open wound. The whole incident over the weekend perpetuates the fact that neither side is on some type of holy ground. You've got some cowardice dork who did this. Some cowardice dork who did this. You're not brave or anything like that. And then you had Republicans countered with the inflammatory rhetoric back saying, well, this person's got Trump derangement syndrome, which is what Fred Kappas, the head of the Eau Claire Republican Party, said. And the cycle continues. The cycle continues. Let me be clear. The act that occurred, the person that committed this vandalism, this hooliganism, and mind you, by the way, when you do something like this, you're not just hurting the Republican headquarters, if you will. You're not just hurting the actual business or the storefront. You're hurting the people that owned the building. And the Republican Party does not own the building. They are part of a strip center. There is another owner of the building that has leased out space to them. In many ways, you're not hurting the people you intend to hurt. And your message goes nowhere with this. All right? It doesn't. I do agree, shockingly, with Derek Van Orden on this one. Now, there's a lot I don't agree with Derek Van Orden. But he came out yesterday and actually was a little bit measured in what he said in response to this, but noted that whoever gets caught, he wants them to see federal prison time. Federal prison time. I agree. I agree. Oh, Scott, that's too much for this. We've got to put an end to all of this political violence. And that doesn't just mean when it happens against you. All right? You can't just be for the end of political violence when it happens against your side. When you're the one throwing the volley, your side, you've also got to say, hey, you shouldn't have done that either. Now, whoever they end up catching, the people on their side, which in this case will be liberals, will say, well, the end justifies the means. And, oh, you want to give them prison time, but the Epstein files. And the cycle will continue. So the whole thing, as I said, nobody ends up winning in this. Nobody ends up winning in any of this. The coward who rode on the Republican headquarters is exactly that, a coward, a dork, a dweeb, whatever. No different than that knucklehead professor at UW-Eau Claire who thought he was a big boy and flipped over the table of those college Republicans. Oh, I'm big, strong man, I flip over table. Coward was him. At the same time, Republicans aren't you're not necessarily some total innocent victim in the whole thing either, when you sit back and immediately start calling names back to them. I understand you're upset and whatnot, but you want to win the marketing in this, and that's what this whole thing is. When it comes to the political spectrum and liberals and conservatives and Republicans and Democrats, it's all a marketing game. You want to win that marketing game, you've got to stop leaning into your already the diehard fan base you already have that isn't going to leave you no matter what. You've got to play it more down the middle. I would have rather have seen the Republicans come out over the weekend and say, hey, unfortunate that this happened. We are happy to work with the Altoona Police Department in order to find the perpetrator of this, and to come out and say, hey, whether you agree or disagree with our policies and what we stand for, we have an open door and we'd be happy to chat with somebody. That's what you should have said. The point of our building, being there is we want to open up dialogue, open up discussion more. That's what I would have rather have had, as opposed to a, how dare you attack our clubhouse. The Republicans, by the way, have, I think, if they'd come out and said that, could have done some passive-aggressive things against the Liberal Party, namely being, you could have some fun with it. Hey, they came and attacked our building. We have a very prominent building. It's right here. It's a lovely location, and everybody is welcome no matter what party you are. We open up. We want dialogue. We have things here. You can come. We are easily findable. The Democratic building is a dilapidated shack in the 3rd Ward. Actually, not the 3rd Ward, over near Randall Park. It's a dilapidated shack. The Democratic Party's headquarters. They don't have headquarters. They've got a little building behind Water Street. That's it. Nobody's going to vandalize that building. A vandalization would actually probably be an upgrade for their building. And if anybody is a Democrat in this county and is upset with what I said, you know full darn well I'm spitting the truth. You know full darn well you can't have a, that's another thing for another day. So again, I don't think either side ended up winning in this whole thing. And all it ended up doing is everybody went to their corner, and good for that person whoever did it, and screw the person who did it, and all this. And as I said, I kind of agree with Derek Van Orden on this. I don't think it will hold up legally, but we got to put an end to this stupid stuff. And just because it did not involve any type of, you would say, physical violence, doesn't mean, what do I always say? You don't wait till the bridge collapses to work on the bridge. The death of Jesse Jackson today reminds us, because, of course, the lineage goes back to Martin Luther King Jr. A reminder that what was once rebellious, we look back with pride, but living through, we may have had different thoughts. So when you look at all these protests, whoever protests on whatever side, usually the side that's not in power is the one protesting. And you wonder, we all have to sit back and look and go, would I have been, let's take the civil rights movement, would I have been on the side of the civil rights movement? I've already talked about the fact that many of us probably would not have been on the side of the American Revolution. Probably wouldn't have been. Not necessarily would we have been against it, but we probably would not have been all in on it. That being said, a big difference between all this rabble-rousing that's going on now and people writing things on Republican headquarters, and by the way, if you flip the script, you could have, Republicans have been known to do stuff on Democrats too. It's one thing to try to sell your side. Hey, I feel passionately about this. A bunch of us are going to gather together, and we're going to have a demonstration, and we want to tell you why we believe this. It's one thing to have demonstrations. It's one thing to have rallies, I think. It's a whole other to be violent. And violence isn't necessarily physical. It can be the hooliganism like we saw. It can be extreme verbal jousting that we see an awful lot. It does nothing to bring people to your side. At best, it keeps people neutral. At worst, it pushes people to another side. It's what I tell everybody that wants to have you want to have a protest, and you want to keep it civil and all of that. Civil doesn't mean you're not being noticed. Civil doesn't mean I'm placating you by saying that's okay. Civil protest is more about what we are as a society, a discussion of that. It's that, hey, I agree with you 70%. Let's talk about that 30. Hey, maybe after we talk about it, now we agree maybe 90-10%. Maybe we go the other way a little bit. Maybe we come together. Oh, this could be scary. Maybe we come together and we both see things in a completely different way that neither one of us thought going into the whole thing, and we come up with another solution to everything. I came in thinking red. Let's not use political colors. I came in thinking black. You came in thinking yellow. We come together and we talk about it. We go, this, that. We come out and we go, you know what? I think we're going to leave pink. Discussion, folks. Be more open to discussion. Be more open to discussion. All right. Back with you on Thursday with another edition of the podcast then. On behalf of everyone who made this podcast possible, I'm Scott Montesano saying there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. Make sure to take advantage of it. And until next time.